Hi, this is Chat with Dr. Kat, and I'm Dr. Kat. Thank you so much for listening in today. I want to let you know, please go to chatwithdrkat.com. That's my website where you can put in questions, thoughts, feelings, feedback about the podcast, and especially what you want to hear. Put in your name, email address, or it can be completely anonymous. Let me know if you want to be a guest on the show. Maybe there's something we can talk about that really interests you. I'm interested in hearing what you have to say. Also, another place where you can add your feedback is actually on the podcast when you're listening to it on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or YouTube, wherever it is, TikTok. Put in a comment. Let me know. I'll personally answer you. Let me know what you think. I'm interested. Okay, again, no fluff, no judgment, just real talk that leads to real change. Today we're going to be talking about preparing your kids to go to college. This is a hard one. This is a really hard one. And let me tell you from experience, I'm a couple of years into it now. I can't believe I'm a couple of years into it now. It's hard. And some ways it becomes harder, and in other ways it becomes easier. But right now we're kind of in the thick of it, where kids are going to be going off to college, and even transitioning from being a high school student into a college student. Some of them are going to be staying home, going to community college, maybe living away, going to community college, or they're going to be going to an entirely different state or part of the state you live in. Either way, we need to prepare our kids. Now, a lot of what we do is we prepare them through gaining their independence, making them to have, problem solving, good choices. We want them to know a lot of things before they go. Here's some of the things I'm going to go over with you today. And some of these are just really common sense. I'm going to throw in my thoughts as we go along. So let's start. I'm going to be looking at this list because I really want to hit a lot of these things today. So financial literacy. So what are we looking at? This is budgeting. This is tracking your expenses. Maybe you don't go to Starbucks for the 5th time this week. Track your money. I would really come up with a budget with your kids. How much are you going to be giving them every week? Now, this is what I recommend. This is a hard thing. Okay. Now it does depend on where you are with your financial status and what you're able to afford. But really, I would say don't give them that much. Let them, struggle a little bit. Let them find their way and learning how to budget. It's very easy to spend somebody else's money. I'm going to say that again. It's very, very easy to spend somebody's money, especially when it's your parents' money. Truly learning independence is how you can budget the money you get. So maybe you're giving them $25 a week, $50 a week. Oh my gosh, $50 a week, that's nothing. It is nothing. If they have a meal plan on campus, all their foods are covered, right? Everything's covered. What's left are some necessities. Maybe you're already sending them, all the things that they need, facial products, deodorant, shampoo, whatever it is. Okay, let them learn how to budget. Now, here's another thing about financial literacy, and this is completely up to you. If you haven't already started with, I really, really do advise that once your child starts getting a job, maybe they started in high school, or maybe they're starting in college, get them an account like a Roth or something like that, where they can start putting away for themselves for their future, planning their future so that they have stability in the future. It's also learning how to put money aside and not spending all the money that they're given, right? Sometimes money can burn a hole in your pocket. When my kids were little, I remember doing this thing where they would get an allowance and we would put money aside to save. Maybe they wanted to, save up for something. Another bit of money that they could spend, and another bit of money that they're going to give to others, charitable. And this is something that we did. Now, I recommend it because it just kind of gets them outside of thinking about just themselves. So it's a great way to do it when they're little. And then by the time they go to college, they're also thinking about that. Here's another thing about financial issues here. Don't get into debt. Sometimes now they're 18, they're being sent all of these things about open a credit card, open a credit card. Okay, well, you get into debt because the next thing you know, you've racked up a $10,000 credit card bill, and then how are you going to pay it off? So it's talking to them about debt, telling them it's a slippery slope. It feels great when you're just ring, 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 Apple Pay, Apple Pay, Apple Pay, and you're not really seeing where the money is going to. One thing you could do to help your kids with this process is maybe give them $40 for a week in cash. No other availability of money. Now I'm saying do this before they go to college. $40, that's it. That's all they get. Does it have to cover gas? Does it have to cover money? Now they can eat whatever they want at home. Money, food is always here. And kind of they'll see how quickly money goes out of their hand when that's all they have is the 40 in their hand. It's a good thing to try. Okay, let's see, time management. Time management. Oh my gosh, this is a big one. So teaching them how to organize themselves. Get them a calendar. Show them how to organize themselves. How much time do they need to be spending on studying? What are the times that they're going to be going to class? What are the times that they're using for their extracurricular activities? You have tests coming up. Say you have a test coming up in 2 weeks. What do you need to be doing for the next 2 weeks in order to do well on that test? Maybe you need to be studying along the way rather than cramming. Also, if you know you've got some pretty intense classes on a Wednesday, going out on Tuesday night until 4 a.m. in the morning, probably not the best use of your time. I know you're in college and you want to have fun and everything else, but mom and dad or your parents are not around. They're not around. That's why freshman year is a big deal. This is where we see a lot of kids either come back home because it was too rough for them for some of the reasons we're going to be talking about. Maybe they come home because they just couldn't handle their time. They couldn't figure out what to do. They couldn't stay on task. Obviously, emotional reasons. There's a lot of different things. But we want to set up our kids for success. For success. So one thing I would say is one of those phone calls that you have is just checking in. Hey, how's the time management going? Oh my gosh, Mom, can you I know what I'm doing. Humor me. Let me know what you're doing time management wise. Let me feel better. Do it for me, not you. Do it for me. These are some things that you can do to keep the information going with them. Also, one last thing with that is setting priorities. Class is not your only priority, probably. You have studying, you have extracurriculars that may be really, really important to you, and that's a priority. So set those things. Maybe not get caught up in people pleasing and things like that. That's another area you want to really talk to them about. Okay, this next one is a big one, and this is home skills. Please teach your children how to do their laundry. I kid you not. My daughter called me one day, her first year of college, and she says, "You're not going to believe this. I went downstairs to do my laundry, and I found two people, one person I knew, the other one I didn't, standing in front of the washing machine, just standing there staring." And I said, "Did it break? Is something wrong? What happened?" And they said, "We've never done laundry before. What do we do? What buttons do we push? What clothes do we put in?" You want to prepare them. You want to prepare them because they're going to be doing their laundry on their own. Or worse, they're not doing their laundry at all. So now they're stinky, smelly, and they don't look great. We've got to help them through this process. One of the things that I did with my kids is starting freshman year of high school, that was it. They did their own laundry from that point on. Before that, I would have them help me sort clothes so they learned how to put whites with whites the different colors. Maybe keep reds off to the side and wash those separately. Keep your towels and sheets and all that other stuff separately. Maybe not wash your towels that you're using on your body with bath mats, especially if there's animals. You're living in an apartment and they have animals. Just give them some of these things about laundry. How much soap do you use? How do you fold your laundry? Let's not keep it in the basket. Let's get it right into those drawers and your closets again. These are skills that your kids need, because don't forget, they're going to be with a roommate that may not have a tolerance for somebody who clothes are piled up everywhere, or their clothes are stinky and smelly because they're not being washed. This leads into cooking. Not all dorms have kitchens. They may go in an apartment with a kitchen, or some dorms do have it. Teach them at least 5 good recipes that they can have on cycle so that they can cook and have something healthy for themselves. When we always talk about the freshman 15 or the freshman 20, and it's because no one's saying eat healthy. They're now on their own. They're just grabbing things. They're going out late at night. Sometimes those things happen. But weight gain is not the worst thing. The worst thing is gut health, not having a strong gut. We always talk about, we hear it a lot, we see it on TikTok, gut health, gut health. It really is something pretty serious to talk to your kids about. This will lead to stomach ache, stomach problems, going to the bathroom may be an issue. These are all things you want to talk to your kids about. Now, some of them may say, oh my gosh, don't talk to me about that. Talk about it. Really talk about it, because they need to know what to do. Okay, here are some other things. Teach them how to clean. Teach them how to really clean. How to really clean a bathroom, a toilet, bathroom counter, because a lot of these dorms and everything else, if they have a bathroom in their room, they're responsible for cleaning it. No one is coming every week to clean their sheets. Talk to them about how often they should be changing their sheets, how often they should be cleaning the shower, how often they should be cleaning the toilet. What happens if the toilet overflows? Show them where to turn off the water valve so that it's not it's not pouring out of it. Let them know these things. Even when it comes down to maybe they have a car, show them how to change oil, show them how to check oil, how to change a tire. Now, I know we have AAA roadside service, whatever. Will you ever have to do it? Don't know. But if there is a time where you're in the middle of nowhere and someone can't get to you for hours and hours and hours, you may want them to learn how to change a tire. One of the things I will say when it even comes to safety, and we'll get more onto home skills, is that if somebody gets into a car accident, say it's in the middle of a busy road, your car is still able to move, it's a fender bender, tell them, for safety reasons, stay in the car, pull over. If you get in an accident on a freeway and it's just a fender bender, drive off of the freeway. Have the person follow you or you follow them. Maybe say to them, let's get off the freeway. People may not see you standing outside of the car, but they may not know that. They may not know that. So, another thing, they need to be aware that they need to get the car changed from oil, right? Don't ignore the lights on the car. Show them what the lights mean in the car if you've given your child the car. Let them know how to responsibly take care of that car, how to clean the car, how often they should clean the car. Let them know. It's important to do that. Okay, let's look at a few other things. When it comes to food, always have a jar of peanut butter if you're not allergic to peanut butter. Always have a jar of peanut butter or something that could be a go-to, just in case you run out of food, you're cramming for a final, you don't feel well, maybe have some instant soup mix. Now, on the regular, just eating this is not the healthiest. But if you need something in a pinch, have some of those things standing by. Have them standing by. Okay, here's another thing about home skills. Learn how to navigate with roommates on who's going to be doing what. I recommend you do this from the beginning. So this is going to lead into dealing with roommates, okay? I would have a series of questions of what you should ask your roommates. Do you smoke? Do you have boyfriend, girlfriend? Do you, what is your sleep schedule like? Are you a night owl? Are you an early riser? You could ask so many questions. Do you know how often do you clean the bathroom? These are all questions. It'll be an interesting thing if you find a roommate and you go, oh my gosh, they seem great. And then you ask them, do they smoke? They said, yeah, I smoke cigarettes and I smoke weed, but I just blow it out the window. And you say, oh, would you be opposed to maybe going outside? Why? I could just blow it out the window. You may not want your clothes filled with cigarette smoke, and you may not want that smoke in your room. That may not be the best person for you. Here's another thing with roommates. When you're starting to talk to roommates, look for red flags. There could be things in personality. There could be things that they're telling you that you're like, maybe I could deal with that. If there's a red flag, move on. There's a lot of people out there. You're not going to wind up with all great roommates, okay? But some of these questions can help. So sit down with your child, figure out some questions you should ask. Look it up on the internet, figure out some of those questions, and then have them ask each other those really important questions. One of the other things that I would say, going back a little bit to basic home skills, does your child know how to address a letter? I've been seeing that more and more with some people that I work with. They don't know how to address a letter. Do they know how to balance a checkbook? That goes back to finance. How do they know how to do their own bookkeeping with what they're doing? Can they make a schedule as to who's going to be cleaning what? And again, I started that conversation. I'm going to loop back around with the roommate. From day one, let's put up a little calendar. Who's going to be cleaning what day? I guarantee you, if your student says, oh, you know what? We'll just figure it out. Okay, let's figure out we'll just go on. That toilet probably will never be cleaned, because let me tell you, the one who never cleans the toilet will never clean the toilet if it's not on a schedule. I mean, even then they may not. The one who always cleans the toilet now gets resentful, stops cleaning the toilet to prove a point. No communication. Doesn't work. So have those conversations with your children. So this leads into communication and conflict resolution. Work with them on problem solving. Come up with scenarios. It could even be a game. It could be a game that you play. You and your partner sit down with your child and you pull out some questions, or maybe you all sit down and come up with things on little cards and you pull them out and let's see how you problem solve. Not only are they going to come up with solutions, but you can model some of those problem solving skills. That comes down to, I really do hope, and we're going to talk about this at another time too, let your kids see you fight with your partner. I'm not talking about brawls. I'm not talking about constant fighting. Every once in a while, letting your kids witness a fight, I think is great. Let me tell you why. Your kids need to learn how to problem solve. They need to see that people who love each other can fight, still live with each other. They have to learn forgiveness, and then they need to move on. That's an important, valuable lesson. So start it out early, but even now, show them. It's always good. I think it's always good. Okay, show them also how to navigate relationships. The hardest thing is that your child meets somebody in college and it's their romantic relationship. You're not going to be around to help guide them, maybe see red flags, maybe say something, watch from afar. They're gone. They're in a different state. They're in a school. You're not seeing them as usual. You're not seeing them like you did in high school. So you're missing out on that. Ask questions. Maybe have a little bit of conversation. Maybe you call your daughter or son and their significant other is there. Go, oh, let me say hi. See how they react to the hello. These are all different ways that you can kind of get an in on how they're interacting. Now, if you have a child, excuse me, who is upset all the time because maybe their significant other is overpowering them, getting mad at them, there's an issue there. Don't wait. Jump in, figure out what's going on. Why is your child reacting that way? Why are they choosing people like that in their life? That doesn't mean, oh my gosh, as a parent, it's all my fault. Why are they choosing? Sometimes they just choose, right? And you want to help them to not create a pattern of choosing people like that in their life. Point it out to them. They may be defensive. It's all on your delivery, but you don't want to step back and do nothing. Step in. Your child may need help to navigate what's going on with that relationship. Okay, this now leads into self-advocacy. So not only they need to be a self-advocate for maybe a partner, or what about a friend or a roommate? Maybe somebody's toxic. You need to tell them about what's going on. You know, I say this exists in every business, which we'll do another podcast on that. With executive coaching and different things like that. But it seems like sometimes a household can run like that. Definitely a school, elementary school in particular, where you have people who are the diamonds. You have the people who do a great job, do wonderful things, sweet, kind, everything. Then you got the diamonds in the rough. Diamonds in the roughs are the people that are learning how to become a diamond, self-sufficient, wonderful people who are great in the community and with self. And then you got the bottom feeders. I call them the emotional vampires, the ones that kind of suck you dry of energy because it's one toxic thing after another, problem after problem. If you have a child who you hear this from, help them. But before they go off to college, let them know. Let them know. And here's an amazing thing that I really think is vital when your child is going to college. And this is what I think you need to say to them. Be prepared for some people to not like you. You're wonderful, you're kind, you're all these great things. Be a good person. Out of everything, be a good, great, wonderful person. There are still going to be people who don't like you because your inner light messes with their demons. What do I mean by that? Sometimes people have so much going on in their life that you become a reflection. Your child, their success, their kindness becomes a reflection of who they are not. And rather than step up to the plate, it turns towards hate, resentment, and jealousy. This is a reality. We're going to see it in the workplace. We're going to see it play out among friends. We're going to definitely see it at schools, more elementary than we are in high school. And your kids are going to see it, especially when they're in competition over, maybe they're getting grant money from research. Maybe they're stepping up for an internship. It just happens. Give your kid a fighting chance to realize, don't focus on those people. If there's something you can do better, do better. If not, it's okay. Move on. Move on from that person. You can't please everybody. Okay, study skills. Hopefully, these study skills are things that you have already established with your child within high school. I would say reinforce those study skills. One of the biggest things that I would say is if they're in a small enough university, even bigger universities, go talk to your professor. Make eye contact. Have a strong handshake. Let them see eye to eye. The moment that they know you, out of maybe 300 kids in a general ed class, the better. Go to office hours. Excuse me. Make contact with your professors and your TAs. Get that help. Give them your name a face. Let them know that that is really, really important. Not only that, it's getting them to learn how to be when they get into the workforce. It's It's really important. Research skills. How to find out information. If your child is calling you and saying, hey, I got this notice about my scholarship. I don't know what to do. Don't turn them away. But before they go to college, say to them, look, if you have questions about your scholarship, first and foremost, maintain that scholarship. If your grades drop, you will lose that scholarship. If your child, which I'm thinking most Americans need to have some type of scholarship, and why not, let your child know you got to maintain that scholarship. And what does that mean? If you allow your grades to drop, you lose the scholarship. You may lose your place at that school. Let them know these things. This is what's at risk. It comes down to this. If you don't want a speeding ticket, don't speed. If you don't want a late fee, don't turn in your bills late. If you don't want to lose your scholarship, keep your grades up. Find a tutor. Reach out to your parents. Let them know. Let them know what they can do. This is vital. Okay, critical thinking. That's all part of it. Look, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I want to go to independence and I want to go to resilience, because this is where all the mental health comes into play. Since the pandemic, we've been seeing kids that have been struggling with leaving the house. We're still kind of in that group of kids right now. The ones that have just graduated were in 7th grade, middle school. I would say one of the worst times to go through a pandemic. They've just graduated and now they're going to be starting freshman year. You need to prepare those kids. A lot of those kids had learned to isolate. They learned how to cope differently. We want to give them as much support as possible. Let them know where they can find that support. Part of even, home skills is learning how to make a doctor's appointment, learning how to fill a prescription, learning how to get a refill prescription. Maybe having a safety kit. You can start it off with them, but showing them how to refill. If you're out of Band-Aids, you're not going to have Band-Aids. If you need maybe Neosporin or some of the over-the-counter things, show them how to replenish. Maybe take certain vitamins when, becomes flu season. These are all things that they're going to need to do and track for themselves. Give them the power of knowledge, but more importantly, give them the experience of independence. If you can start this now, right now, going over everything, or maybe you have an 11th grader, get all of that in. I will tell you this, as much as it pained me when my first daughter was my oldest daughter is now in college, that last year of school, senior year, I helped her make some doctor's appointments and I showed her how to make them, going through the portal and going through all that. And I said, okay, here's your appointment time. Dentist, eye doctor, regular doctor, go. She turned to me and she says, you're not going to go with me? And I said, no. Make sure you park well, give yourself enough time. Well, what building? Where do I go? It's all in your portal. All the information is there. Now, when I say that killed me at first, it did. Because my job is, here's our doctor's appointment. Okay, let's go. We're going to park over here. Let's get in here. We're going to go. It's important for them to learn how to take care of their body so that they know to make their doctor's appointments, to see a dentist twice a year and more if necessary, having their annual checkups. This is setting them up for life, letting them have a relationship with their doctors. Not everybody likes the dentist. Not everybody likes the doctors. I know a lot of times, as women, we don't like certain doctors, but you know what? We have to go. Taking care of your health is vital and important so that we remain healthy. You have to teach your children on how to do that independently. So that's important, letting them know all of those things. And let me tell you, if you have a child who is a young adult, who is starting school this fall, meaning could be any day now, or within the next month, it's not too late. It's not too late. Go through all these things. Remind them throughout the year. But it becomes a balancing act. If your child says to you, I know how to grocery shop, which is another skill. Teach them how to do. If they say to you, I got it. I know. You've taught me. I know how to buy this. Maybe you buy organic. Maybe, you buy certain products. It's learning how to trust them. Trusting that you've done your job. Trusting that they know what to do. And reminding them to give you patience. You have all of this. Look at all the stuff I've just covered. And let me tell you, there's more, okay? There's more. There's more things that you can cover with them about how to be safe, how telling your daughters don't walk alone at night. I don't think it's great for a guy either, but telling girls don't walk alone at night, even if your school is in the most amazing environment and community. Don't walk alone, ever. Walk in packs. Learning how to keep your door locked at the dorm. That was one thing I had heard that I was like, oh, we always leave our dorm room open. No. How do you know some drunken kid comes home and doesn't realize what's going on? Things happen. Things happen. Teach your children how to keep themselves safe. Don't allow themselves to be vulnerable. Talk to them about drinking. Talk to them about drugs. Talk to them about sex. Let them know what the consequences could be by not taking care of themselves. My older daughter went on a business trip this week. Whew, that was tough. It was her first one. She had an internship. She's really taking all of this so seriously, and she went on this trip. And it was talking to her about keeping herself safe in the hotel room. Keeping herself safe when she was at the gym, doing all the things that she wanted to do. I just kind of recap some of the things that I've talked to her about while she was at school. She did say, yeah, I know. And then a couple of them, she's like, oh, okay, good point. It's okay. If she says to you, or your son says, gosh, I know. Okay, great. I'm so glad, but be patient with me. I just want to go through these things. Let me just say it. There's nothing worse than the woulda, coulda, shouldas. Say it, say it, say it. Teach your kids how to protect themselves sexually. Now, I know a lot of times there's different religious beliefs, religious thoughts, maybe just how you want your child to be. Let's not be naive. Children, these students may be having sex, maybe they're not. I don't know. But you may want to empower them with information. Something like, I would rather you abstain, but if you find yourself in a situation, be able to protect yourself. It's important to protect yourself. One night of being in the wrong place at the wrong time and not even being prepared for that, even in a horrible situation, can affect their life, not only mentally, but physically. Empower your children with knowledge and your good values and your good morals. There can be a combination of the two. Absolutely. Don't be afraid to talk to your children about that. Here's another thing. Have a call schedule. Have a text schedule. If you want to hear from your child every day, let them know your expectation. If your child says it's too much, find a compromise. Find a compromise. Maybe your child, I would say, keep them on Life 360, find your phone, whatever it is. Have a conversation about it. Say this is something you need for a while. Maybe then step away from it. Maybe not. Maybe everyone enjoys, they're used to it by now. Talk about it. Have a plan. Let them know your expectations. If you can't call me every day, shoot me a text. Hey, Mom, all's okay. Hey, Dad, going great. If you find that your child is avoiding conversations with you, if you haven't heard from your child in a week, maybe something's going on. Don't let it go on. Find out what's happening. Now, here's this tough statement I'm going to say really, really quick. You pay the bills. If you're paying the bills, they're on your payroll, mom and dad are still providing for them, you still have the ability to set standards even when they're at school. But rather than maybe punish or demand, have a conversation of expectations and meet in the middle. Great communication is going to help your child with absolutely everything and you. Okay, one last thing. Here we go. One last thing. Coming home, family traditions. If you want your child home every Thanksgiving, let them know that that's the tradition. I would start very, very early. When you go to college and you come back for Thanksgiving, have those conversations. Keep those traditions alive. Traditions help families stay together. They really do help stay together. So talk about those things. Talk again about expectations. Now, it's going to be hard. Some parents maybe are ready for their kids to fly the nest and go to college because maybe they've had a tumultuous type of relationship. Everybody needs a break. You're still wanting them to be close to you, but it's a great opportunity to provide a little space. Other people, it's hard. It's hard. Here is my one last thing I'm going to say. I had a couple of friends of mine in particular. She had a son going to Santa Barbara, and my daughter going to the East Coast. And I remember texting and saying, I'm miserable today. I'm so sad today. I miss her so much. I don't even know what to do with myself. She wrote back, it sucks. I feel the same way. And we had these conversations. The difficult conversations for me, when I was just brutally honest about how hard it was, when people would say to me, well, aren't you happy for them? Try to refrain from saying that to somebody else. Of course we're happy for our children. Of course we want success. If you don't, something's wrong with you. That's a whole other podcast. But of course we're happy. We want them to be successful. This is what we've done for them. We want that to have happen. But it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to allow that baby bird to fly the nest. Find someone you could talk to about it, commiserate with, even cry with. It gets easier in some ways. Some ways it gets a little bit harder. It's okay. You're going to get through it. This is life. Reinvent yourself. Find out new things, new fun things that you can do. You will get through it. Okay. Go plan. Go have a plan. Print out things on the internet, figure out stuff. I hope you wrote some things down that we talked about today. If not, play it back again. Maybe share it with some friends. Share it. Anybody that you know of that their kid is going to college, share this podcast with somebody. Let them see it. Give them that ability to write some things down because you want them to be prepared. You want to be prepared. Good luck. Your kids are going to be great. Have open communication and be well. This is Chat with Dr. Kat. I'm Dr. Kat. My website, chatwithdrkat.com. Please write your comments. And again, if you have any questions or thoughts, you can write them in the comments. I will personally answer them. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.